Alright, I'm back, and this is actually my second attempt at making this video, because the first time I recorded this, something messed up with the audio, and it was all out of sync. So, hopefully it works this time. But, into the actual discussion of the movie, we're talking about Toxic Avenger. And not the original Toxic Avenger, the brand new 2025 or 2023, whatever year you want to say this actually came out in, Toxic Avenger. And if you don't know, this movie struggled getting distribution for a long time. It premiered at Fantastic Fest in 2023, so that's why when you look it up, it will say it came out in 2023 when it really didn't. And it just now got released here in the year 2025. And I just went and saw it earlier today. I still have the pop right here. I was very excited for this movie. I love that original film. As you know, I made a review on it. Go watch that. Love that original film. One of my favorite horror movies. It's so great. You have to see it to believe it. I mean, you gotta go watch it to really know why it's great. But I went and saw this with a friend who I had actually shown the original to. And I showed it to 3 friends, actually, and he's the only one that liked it, so I knew to bring him for this. And we were both very excited because we both liked the original, and I was very curious on how they would do this. Because that original film, if you don't know, and overall just Troma's whole style of film making, it's not really something you can do anymore. So I was very curious in how they pull this off, and I think they made a decent middle ground. It's not nowhere near as offensive, politically incorrect, crude, and mean. Well, not necessarily mean, but as the original film or the other Troma films. It's a more mainstream version, more modernized, but it's still compared to another Troma movie. This is tame. This is nothing. But compared to the average modern day movie, this is like wild, wacky, out there. Like if you never seen a Troma film or the original Toxic Avengers, you'd be like, what is this? I've never seen anything like this before. So there's that. It's very non-serious. It doesn't take itself seriously at all. Well, maybe it kind of does in some spots, involving the father-son relationship here. But I found this, and my friend, we both found this movie pretty funny. I think a lot of the jokes work. Ooh, dang, sorry. There's some that didn't, but I would say that more oftenly than not, the jokes were hitting. And this movie's honestly kind of sweet and sincere, and the way that the original is, I find that original film is actually a pretty sincere, sweet movie. Has with a lot of heart, and you can tell the people that make that movie and the ones that made this one are very passionate and loved making this movie. You can feel the soul that went into it. And it's not quite as offensive or crude, but it's still pretty. But still, I mean, I already talked about it, so whatever. There's no child death or like abundance of slurs as you might come to expect from the original. Of course, you have the infamous scene of the child getting ran over, and right before that, they're spouting out every slur you can possibly think of. The acting is also not quite as over the top, and when I mean over the top, I mean like I'm thinking the opening scene in the original movie, past the opening credits, where you have the song, where one of the head bully is talking to Melvin, and he's like, like really like stressing out, like he's stressing me, he's really stressing me, like that kind of acting you're not gonna get in this movie for the most part. Uh, but there are performers in here do a great job. Of course, Peter Dinklage as our main character here. Great. I think he's great. It's actually two people playing Toxie. Peter Dinklage, of course, does all this stuff before he becomes Toxie, and then once the transformation is complete, it's actually played by a separate performer under all the makeup and the suit, and Peter Dinklage doing the voiceover. So two people kind of came together to make this character come alive, but I think the character himself is actually done pretty well, and I love him in this movie. Um, Kevin Bacon, very great to see him. I love seeing Kevin Bacon in anything. He's great here as our villain. Um, he what happens with him in the final act I find pretty cool. Um, Different from the original. You have Elijah Wood, who, of course, is always amazing. I love what Elijah Wood does with his career, doing dumb, stupid stuff like this. Um, and the character of Toxie has different origins in this movie. The story in general here is pretty different. Not in a bad way. It's just changing things up for the sake of, you can't have everything be the same. Or else you have the Psycho remake where everything is the same in that movie. But Toxie is instead, he's a father, a stepfather to I'm not quite sure how old the kid is. I think he's like 15 or something. So like a 15-year-old boy, and their mother passed away sometime before the movie started, and the way that he becomes Toxie is very different. He's driven to a very desperate point because, pretty relatably, honestly, like health care and his job doesn't really cover his brain, whatever he has. It's a kind of a funny joke in the movie that whatever is going on with his brain isn't stated by the movie. But he's got something going on with his brain, and he's got about a year to live. And then he tries to like call people, and like he gets automated voice message. And he's got to go through all the tiers and all the convolutedness of the healthcare system, and he's driven to trying to steal money from the corporation that he works for, and is shot and killed by what do they call the Killer Nuts band, and is thrown into the toxic waste, and then becomes the Toxic Avenger, or the Monster Hero, or Toxie, whatever you prefer to call him. Just a little side note here: the whole Killer Nuts thing is great. I find them very very interesting. They all have their each like reactions to things, like in scenes. If you're paying attention, they each have their own reaction to something, and they're pretty funny in here. And they make a great sequence later on at their concert. And what was I about to say? I lost my train of thought. Okay. The world here is very absurd and wacky and out there, and none of the characters really acknowledge the fact that the world is the way it is, the way that it is in the original, and like a movie like Better Off Dead, where just everything's blown out of proportion, but it's the norm for these characters, so they don't really notice it. Like an old lady, it has her cat being held for ransom, so she'll sign some papers, and the guy throws the cat out the window. Or there's this mutated bird, or the corporation is just so like over the top and overtly evil. But no one really like wants to notice that, besides the journalist character in here. what this movie stand. Let's get to what this movie stands for, which I think deserves some respect. It's an homage to a bygone era, to where independent, weird, wild, wacky movies like this could be made all the time. Back in Troma's heyday, where you had Kabuki Man, Romeo and Juliet, Class of Nukem High, um, where this kind of thing was like, all right, maybe your average moviegoer isn't going to see this, but this is still something that is like these movies would still be something that would come out, people would go see them, but now that's not something that happens very often. You don't get movies like this anymore. So a movie like this actually being made and it's modernized to an extent, but still a movie like this being made in the modern time and alluding back to that generation of movies that no longer exist is a very nice little throwback. Um, I think the original Toxic Avenger is better than this. I never thought this movie would be better than the original. I can see why some people would say it's better than the original. Um, it's a modernized version. So if you aren't into the super offensive, politically incorrect, um, parts of the original, then I could see you enjoying this one more. If that's personally how you want to see a movie, this movie comes down to preference a lot. I feel to where your enjoyment of this movie is going to be weighed by how you personally want to get out of a movie. If you think that a movie is bad, if it's not an objective masterpiece, um, or something that's super easy to consume and watch, like a Marvel movie or whatnot, then I could see you not liking this movie. But if you are someone like me and many others that can get out of a movie what the movie is trying to deliver you, and in this case, it's just a fun, wacky throwback to the movies of yesteryear, then I think you can get a lot out of this. I think you can have a fun time with this movie and really enjoy it. Um, there are some scenes in here that I like to point out real quick. Namely, what I have seen some headlines on is a scene where Toxic Avenger and his friend is chained up in a basement. And earlier in the movie, it's established that Toxic Avenger's P is acidic. So he has to use his P to free himself of this predicament that he has found himself in. And you see Toxie's private parts, and again, that can be a lot for some people. I found it hilarious. And I think the way music is used in here is great. You got some great songs in here, and I think the music can, sorry, there's a fly. The music can be used to add a lot of comedic effect, like in a scene where we switch to some kids dancing, and the song that's playing while they're dancing is hilarious. And then again, when you switch to new locations in the movie, there'll be a little title card saying where it is, and it'll always be like some dumb name like Yonder Scary Woods or like Evil Corporation Land. I don't remember any others specifically other than that, but those are pretty funny if you're paying attention for them. The newscast here, very Troma. Where the newscast are very brash and crude, and the headlines are funny. Let's see what else. Oh, Troma, which I learned this today actually, is the longest running independent film studio ever. So cool to see that they get to still be around, if to a lesser capacity, obviously, because then new time, new movies coming out. Um, but they get to still be around making this movie. I love to see that. Um, this film, it won't be for everyone. Um, but if this is your thing, if this is your kind of movie, if you like the original, if you like other movies in this vein, I think you're gonna like this movie. I think you should go see it. I think you're gonna have a fun time. I think this movie's very fun and funny, and has a lot of heart to it that not a lot of movies anymore really do. Um, so I think you should go see this movie, support it. I think it deserves your respect for what it is. Um, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed myself. Um, I was hoping maybe it'd just go a tad bit more um, on the offensive side. But yeah, I understand. Like it, you can't have that anymore. But let me just look over my notes, make sure there's nothing I'm missing. Oh, I think it loses a lot of the charm of the original. Again, it's why I prefer the original still. Um, because again, charm a lot of the time it comes with time. um, and since the original is so old and it's made very guerrilla style and very independently, and you can just see how low budget it is and how hard they worked on it. Like I just I always find the original better because of the charm that it has. But this movie, it's not this movie's fault. Like you don't just get that kind of aspect to a movie right away. Like it comes with time. Um, so I think that's about all I have to say about this movie. Um, yeah, like I said, I think this movie's pretty good. If it's your thing, I go see it. I think you're gonna love this. If it's not your thing, I understand. Uh, Again, like I said, I showed this to 3 friends. Only one of them liked it, and the others, it wasn't their thing. They checked out by the midpoint, or were just kind of confused as to why the movie was the way it was. But if it is your thing, you're gonna love it. I would give this. Honestly, rating wise, give it 8 out of 10. I think a solid 8 out of 10. Um, and again, I feel like a lot of people might say that's high. But again, you have to meet the movie where it's at. You can't compare it to other objectively better movies. Meet the movie where it's at. Watch it in the mindset that allows you to have fun with it, and you're gonna have a great time with this. So, I think 8 out of 10 is a great score for it. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I feel like a lot of people would disagree, and maybe a lot of people would agree. I'm not quite sure how people would stand on this movie. It's a very interesting, different movie that we don't get anymore, and I think that's the best part of it is that we don't get this anymore. So I think that's about it. Um, I was pretty impressed with this, and I think that's all I gotta say about it. So, see y'all in the next one. Alright, I actually did forget a few things. I forgot to talk about the gore of the movie. Let's go on here. Um, and I think that the gore it's very digital. And I think that's not. I mean, it's not the biggest negative imaginable, but it's not nowhere near as practical as the original movie. I much prefer the way Toxie kills people in that original movie in more creative ways, other than just hitting them with a mop and they explode for the most part. But um, still, the practical effects on Toxie himself, I think, are very good. Um, so there's that. I also um, want to talk about the community aspect of the original film compared to this. I think this movie loses a lot of that community aspect that the original has, where Toxie has to gain the public trust, and at a certain point, he seemingly kills an innocent person, and people are against him. That movie doesn't have this really at all. There is a point in time when where people are more like, yeah, the monster hero, like he's Toxie is good, but it's not as much of a plot point in this movie. And even it is one of my favorite parts of the original as well. So it sucks not have that in there, but there's other things to fill that place. So I just want to talk about that. Like I can only really think of one scene where like a community member of Tromaville, like is like, wait, stop, he's good, I swear. Like there's none of like where in the original, that's the entire like a culmination of the film, to where he's built up so much public trust to where it saves him in the end. There's nothing like that in this movie. So I just wanted to mention those few things um, before I end the video. So there's that. See ya. All right. I forgot another thing. I actually mentioned this in my original recording for the video. Before that, I got all messed up. The ending of the movie really reminds me of the ending of Wes Craven's Swamp Thing. I know that's a very niche sort of thing to compare it to, but if you've seen Wes Craven's Swamp Thing, you know what I'm talking about. So I just wanted to add that on a little bit. Bye bye for real this time.